Is the video game executive CEO New Year's resolution equivalent to a normal person saying, this is the year I go to the gym, being the one that wants to launch the next live service game, but this time it'll actually work out? As of the time of recording and releasing this episode of Rantable, we are smack dab in the middle of pretty major beats when it comes to the games as a service, live service, video game discourse. And in 2026, the state of online multiplayer gaming is very different than it was when Anthem launched. And Anthem is one of the key talking points of this discourse right now, along with the imminent release of High Guard and the kickoff of the Road to Marathon. But when it comes to the latter two, everybody's very eager to point and say Concord 2 without having the context or thinking about why Concord was Concord. And we won't have to wait long to find out what the fate of High Guard is going to be, as long as it actually does release, since the game's been MIA since it debuted. But it's low stakes. If anything is going to be a second Concord, a game that has a massive amount of resources and money dumped into it, a game that PlayStation looked at and said, this is our Star Wars. Yeah, sit with that for a second. It will be another PlayStation game. Comparatively, High Guard is a small team. I find it hard to believe that that is going to amount to a major disappointment the way Concord did. But the other game besides High Guard that is in the news cycle, it is making headlines because we are really moving forward on the road to launch the game that people are also pointing to as the second coming of Concord, Marathon. I say this as a big... Hold on. Peter Dinklage can come out of storage for this episode. I say this as somebody who invested a lot of time, maybe upwards of 1,000 hours of my life in the world of Destiny and Destiny 2. I played all the Halo campaigns. I love the Bungie touch. I love Bungie shooters, okay? Marathon is a game that is going to be launching, as of now, we just learned, March 5th. It was initially slated to come out in 2025. Big art theft controversy, which has been taken care of at this point. The artist is satisfied with the outcome. I think, controversies aside, it is probably always a bad idea to bet against a new Bungie shooter. We saw this happen with Bungie, with Destiny, and we saw it happen with Destiny 2. And I think Marathon, it's not going to be an instant DOA game, not going to be Concord and shut down and be delisted and taken off of store shelves literally 2 weeks after it launches. They are going to have time to give Marathon legs. They're going to have time to make Marathon become a game that the people who are playing it want to keep playing. But I think this is probably the least interesting talking point when it comes to Marathon. What I think is way more fascinating of a conversation is in the context of Anthem shutting down, kicking off this new year. Bungie is the team that created the genre that Anthem lives in, the Destiny killer, that defined most of the 2010s with online gaming. Now, right next to Anthem shutting down and kind of closing the chapter on the Destiny killer phase of online big multiplayer experiences, Bungie is now trying to compete in this new era, this post-Battle Royale online $40 multiplayer premium gaming experience. So Marathon does have that legacy, that history, cutting edge, groundbreaking team name, Bungie, the team that influenced first-person shooters on console. They're taking their next big swing. So if Bungie, this team who again is on the forefront of multiplayer gaming, is unable to adapt to the current state of multiplayer experiences like an Arc Raiders and Elden Ring, Night Rain even, Helldivers 2, the outcome of this is going to paint a fascinating landscape for what the rest of the AAA, quadruple A market looks like in this space. Because currently, unless you're a massive pre-established battle royale or a legacy first-person shooter series, the path forward for online experiences for these big companies is unclear right now. And entering this post-Destiny killer rush, this time period where this is the main game these studios are making, we're also seeing this experience of nostalgia for this era blossom, again, as evidenced by Anthem shutting down. Anthem is kind of the last bastion of the Destiny killer. An entire decades worth of E3 conferences were full of every publisher imaginable, showcasing a trailer for something that has the Destiny cursor on console, and you're toggling different power level armor and finding a purple gun, then getting a gold gun after running the same mission a dozen times. So with Anthem shutting down being maybe the biggest notable failure of a Destiny competitor throughout the 2010s, it's gotten people to reflect on this era. There is kind of a major absence for somebody to pick up and continue what Destiny does well. Destiny is in its own weird limbo right now. So we're at this point where Destiny, the Destiny killer, that type of game no longer really feels like a priority for a lot of people. But at the same time, with Anthem shutting down, there has been an air of sadness around the game, because despite what people want to say about Anthem, and as somebody who just really played an alpha of that game, it felt fun to play. That was the best live service game where you could play as somebody who felt like Iron Man. Avengers on its own has its other strengths, okay? That's another one I played a lot of. And like Anthem shutting down, Avengers shut down years ago, but where Anthem fully closed the doors, Avengers left the lights on. The game has been delisted, but if you have Avengers, if you invested time in Avengers, you can still play that game. You can still play it online with your friends, and every single cosmetic item that was in the game that you previously had to pay for was added to your locker, completely free. But if the game breaks, tough luck, that's the end of the story. And whatever the quality is of the game, whatever the general public opinion is, there's always going to be an audience of people that resonates with it. Like, look at New World, the Amazon MMO that also just got announced to be shutting down and ending service. There is a fan base there. There's an audience of people who invested in New World. There is a sadness to it. There is this nostalgia that has grown in a very specific way for games as a service titles. We've also seen the Stop Killing Games initiative gain a lot of traction over the last year in an aim to preserve the work of artists and game developers that just get shuttered and also get taken away from people who paid for these experiences. And because we are still kind of fresh off the Destiny killer chase, we have not really seen these companies who did create games that were well liked serve these audiences and the nostalgia they have. Now, what's tricky even with this nostalgia is that there's really no simple answer on how to cater to these fans, because inherently these games need multiplayer ongoing support. But if your audience is dwindling or moving on, what's the incentive for a company to make a Division 3? Even though we know it's in development, but it feels like a bad omen that in the same week span that the Division Definitive Edition showed up as being this project that apparently is coming out, I would assume, soon. The lead of Massive Entertainment on the Division 3 left the studio. Yeah, that does not feel like there's much of a space for these games as a service, Destiny looter competitor games to continue being relevant and get people excited to go through a whole restart, other than following the WoW Classic formula. And we know people have been begging for Destiny 1 Classic, Destiny 1 Vanilla, re-released, available on PC. And based off of trends, who's playing what, it feels like that's the future for this type of game. Because if you look at the multiplayer online gaming landscape in 2025, the games that the newer generations of players are playing and buying and spending time in, it's not the Destinies of the world or the Divisions or Borderlands 4s. For these types of games, it seems like their path forward is appealing to the people who already like them, who grew up with them and feel nostalgia for them. And a lot of these individuals are older now, they have more responsibilities, and vocally it seems they want the experience they remember rather than having to restart, invest new time, learn something new. FOMO is a big talking point here. Now compare that experience with these heavy time sink games to what is popular in 2025. 2025's multiplayer landscape was defined by video games that cost the price of a Starbucks coffee that were made on like the timeline of a game jam almost. Games like Peak, Repo, RV There Yet, Schedule 1, all had huge moments throughout 2025, went viral on social media, got a lot of people playing these games and being enthusiastic about playing them, talking about them, sharing them, buying them for their friends because they were so cheap. If they didn't want to buy it, yeah, I'll buy your copy and we can have a great game night for one night or 20. While it is absolutely difficult to predict the next one of these random Steam games that will pop off, it is undoubtedly a huge component of the multiplayer landscape moving forward. The other thing is these titles are affecting the attention economy. This is something that across the media landscape a lot of companies are concerned about, be it streaming services, movie theaters, the MLB. Like, it sounds crazy, but they are taking attention away from your Destiny 2 expansions, your Call of Duty Black Ops 7s. It's an actual thing that is actively affecting the multiplayer landscape, and I think is why we see these more experimental, non-traditional multiplayer games like an Arc Raiders, Helldivers, or now Marathon come in at a lower, more digestible price point than the AAA, quadruple A, premium $70, $80 game. But the big elephant in the room, the biggest question I have when we're looking at games as a service, the game that wants you to log in every night, do your dailies, buy the new microtransaction pack, buy the new skin, on top of your traditional full price purchase, Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, similar to Highguard, Grand Theft Auto 6 kind of is a complete unknown right now, especially when it comes to the online component that is relevant to this live service conversation. We've yet to see an online trailer. It is almost entirely speculation at this point when it comes to what Grand Theft Auto Online 2, if they even call it that, will look like, how it'll play out, when it launches, presumably alongside GTA 6 later this year. But it's going to be fascinating to see what Rockstar's approach is, because where we see another legacied history team like Bungie embrace this new $40 non-traditional multiplayer experience, Rockstar, again, a historied, legacied team, has an interesting track record with making contemporary multiplayer experiences, especially when you remember that Red Dead Online exists. Yeah, Red Dead, not GTA. But even looking at Grand Theft Auto Online, it may be easy to forget, when Grand Theft Auto Online launched, it was not well received. It barely worked, and it really did not become popular the way it is currently until Heists dropped. That was basically a full year after it debuted. So we're looking at that attention economy, the investment that people have put into these service games that are unceremoniously being killed. Where does Grand Theft Auto Online 2 factor in? Are people going to be happy to walk away from their over 12 years of time, money, and energy they put into their GTA Online character and your garage, your heist track record, just throwing that into the ether and then starting over? Because we haven't really seen a successful studio go through this process of making the old game that you're very invested in feel unappealing now and making you want to do it over again. The only instance that I can think of that is similar to this is Destiny 2, which came in after Destiny 1 got to a fantastic, great state, hit the reset button, people did not like that, and then Destiny 2 took time to recover and build up to what it became. Now, if anybody would be able to come in and convince people to upgrade, replace it, feel like you're not being ripped off, it could probably be Rockstar. You would hope, after all this time, they have learned lessons from GTA Online, Red Dead Online, that they will apply to making GTA Online 2 or Grand Theft Auto 6 Online, Grand Theft Auto World, whatever they end up calling it, be something that is not going to take a long time to become good or bounce back from a horrible launch or take a year and a half to get the main mode you advertised for this experience. Like, I know the inclination is to say Grand Theft Auto is too big to fail. I kind of believe that, but we've been here. Halo, Bethesda, do not overestimate what it takes for somebody to put a game down and walk away forever. That's one of the easiest things in the world you can do, especially when the alternative is a tenth of the price and can keep you as entertained for an extensive amount of time. So I do want to know, how are you feeling about live service games in 2026? Obviously, it's popular to be sick of them and be tired of them, but it's undeniable that sometimes a live service game or a game that is meant to be played in bursts and update it over time and draw you back in is fun and exciting and something that you will have a great time playing with your friends. So the fact that 2026 in this space is being opened up with the death of the Destiny killer and will presumably be wrapping up with the second coming of Grand Theft Auto Online. Will we end up walking out of 2026 with one of these projects, one of these more traditional games being the top dog multiplayer experience of the year? Because after the last few years, I feel like the safest, easiest prediction will be that once again, the AAA monolith, quadruple A monolith will be taken down by a $7.99 friend slop game that we can't even conceptualize. We will just have to wait and see, but be sure to let us know what you think about the state of live service games in 2026. Are there any that you're anticipating? Are there any fun, exciting friend slop games that you cannot wait to pick up that we should keep an eye on? As always, thank you so much for watching. For more episodes of Rantable, you can stay tuned right here and over on gamerad.com.